Okay, let's call meeting to order. We're about 3 after 5. And do we have a quorum?
We do. We have an excused absence from Counselor Watson because she's sunning in Hawaii. Oh, I know. I feel sorry for her.
Okay, so we can move on to our election of officers.
We need a nomination and then motion.
Can I make a nomination? I would nominate Counselor Rex to be the chair of Urban Renewal.
I'd like to second that.
Okay. Does Counselor Beck accept?
Yes.
Okay. Then you can go ahead and call the vote.
Or should we nominate for vice chair?
We'll do that next. Okay.
Okay, let's call vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we're in the chair. Thank you. So quick, you probably don't want my best.
I have to do it. All right, does he have any nominations for vice chair?
I move that we appoint Councilor Renewal as vice chair. I second that.
Any discussion? Any, call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, vice chair is wonderful. Okay, the urban renewal minutes were sent out for 4 different meetings last year, from May 10th, May 31st, June 13th, and June 28th. Does anybody have any corrections or comments on those meeting minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. So now we move into open discussion and planning. Did you have anything in mind?
No, we should kick these off essentially. We want to get this started again. So it's really that what you think you guys are going to do and what your vision would be for having this. Originally, this was get started so we can get a new chairman.
So I went back and looked at our urban renewal plan, and then I also found something that a former reporter had prepared for sort of a summary of what this says about, and then after how people would apply for the preservation, rehabilitation, development, redevelopment part of this urban renewal plan. That would be for like private property owners in the urban renewal district. But it goes way beyond just private development. It could also be for public improvement versus parks and open space, street curb and sidewalk improvements, public utilities, streetscape and neighborhood beautification projects, pedestrian, bicycle and transit improvements, public safety improvements, public buildings and facilities. Is it in addition to the other parts? So when I look back at what had been approved in the past, I'm not sure how much of what's been approved in the past has been accomplished or not.
Nothing.
Nothing? So, I'm sorry, did you say something? Well, I don't know if that's true, because like the Joni bathroom, was the bathroom that was gonna go behind Joni, I think there were plans to then move it to the,
End of the, Bay Street parking lot, the upper one behind the spouting one.
And that started the design of that or not?
Not yet, no.
Oh.
We're gonna try to get utilities stubbed out, when the weather gets a little better, and then, yeah, move from there.
Yeah.
So we'll have lines put in to provide enough sewer and water for two men and 2 women.
So maybe we should look at start off with the list of things we've approved in the past and see if we still want to have those on the list. And if not, what other things, and I have an example of some other things I wanted. Did we have a list in our packet? Was that-
No, I think, are you talking about the
Our budget.
projects, the one that's, this one?
There's the urban renewal project list, I think.
Oh, I make sure this is it, because I can make copies of it. Is this the one that you're looking at?
Those were just examples. I thought in our proposed budget for fiscal year, we have
It
specific
was a
things.
spreadsheet, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, I put it, you
Was
put
that
that one
the
I put
two-page
together.
spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Oh, was that, did that
Yeah.
have those,
Would you like me to grab that?
was that,
That was what I put together.
and that, but that was things that were already approved as well as?
Yes, right out of the
Okay.
original thing.
Great, thank you, yeah.
Yeah, because it talked about like the Bay Street parking lot, the lower one, about striping and doing curb
And that has
bumpers.
been done already.
Yeah, we never got the curb bumpers due to they're just not available. They may be now, I haven't really, to be honest, tried to see if they're making them yet. And
To me, that
most of those
wasn't a
are
high
fact.
priority anyway.
Yeah,
just spending
exactly.
money.
Because we're still working on the timing of the crosswalk across to the community hall from the stairwell. And then some striping of the other part, yeah. Can't remember the others.
Quite a few things. Well, and the city hall, which had been on the list, that was updated and the parking had been done. So there were some things that have been done from the past, and not many.
That
But
was
this is
under
an,
urban renewal though.
it wasn't?
No.
Okay.
The things under urban renewal was,
Remember Shell Street was gonna throw in, and that got canceled, so that got,
Shell
just
Street,
stayed,
that's right.
stayed in.
And the South of the Bridge project got canceled, so. But so what was interesting to me is some of the things we've been discussing recently, such as lighted crosswalks, that could potentially be a urban renewal. And I'm keen on additional park space that that lighted building south of tidal rays. If we could, and there's some state park funding opportunities now. So I think we should look at what we have and then also what people have as priorities.
Can I ask what the balance is in the urban renewal fund?
over $1 million.
Like
For-
$1 million something, something to.
Yeah,
One, two, yeah.
And that's uncommitted?
yeah, well, some was reserved for
Yeah.
1 million, this is last. What was this? 1,271,000, and we had south of the bridge project, we had earmarked 571,000, so we don't have that anymore, so we have the full 1.27 million, I think. And there is in the urban renewal that we're supposed to, or potentially, we have 2 rounds of applications a year that we can offer if we wanted to get projects for this preservation, rehabilitation, development, and redevelopment program. So I don't know if it's an obligation for us to do this or okay that we do this.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you. My apologies, I wish I remembered, I actually forgot I did this until you mentioned something on it.
And this came right from,
I took it right out of the project plans, out of the urban renewal plan.
so this is something
You guys have already approved.
in the past, but we're not obligated moving forward to keep the same list.
Oh, gosh, no.
Okay.
No,
This
you
is a
can
good
always
place
make
to start, right?
Yes, it's very good.
Do other people have any other ideas on how to proceed with this agenda item, or is this a good place to go, looking at these past projects?
I would like to, I've seen where housing can be part of urban renewal. And I was hoping maybe once we get this houseless committee going, we might have some urban renewal funds dedicated for that.
So that's a good idea. It has to be within the urban renewal district.
Right.
Okay.
In what sense are you talking, Mary? You said housing
I don't know.
for the houseless? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah,
A place to put the houseless?
maybe, I don't know. Just options, just thinking.
That it could potentially be used for that type of.
Yeah.
Well, another thing would be, those low income apartments that people complained about, a blue house that has a lot of that needs some tender loving care to make it more livable for low income. I don't think this is houseless, but, people are a step away from being houseless there. It's across from.
And that's in urban renewal.
I think it is.
Where is it?
It's right across from,
Pirate Cove.
Pirate Cove, on the right hand side, the blue building.
Yeah, I think so too,
I think it's really valid to talk about the houseless situation. It concerns me that we're talking about it in terms of urban renewal funds. They're few and far between, they're limited. There's houseless money flooding out of the state right now. We're trying to get our fingers on it through this committee that we've just formed, and we're part of the greater scheme. And I think we should keep pursuing that. There might be sources, well, there are sources that are coming through there. In the meantime, I keep hearing from Brady at every meeting that we have shortfalls, aging infrastructure, projects that are going nowhere. And I think that this list that's right here gives us kind of a good guideline on where to go. Instead of trying to dream up new things, why don't we get on with some of these projects that we have? Like, I just happened to notice that Parks right here is budgeted for $1.16 million. How convenient. So that's just my point. And I'm not recommending any project in particular, but I'd like to see us stick to the plan.
Sure, can I ask Brady a question?
So if you were to prioritize some of these infrastructure projects, do you have like one or two in each category?
Yeah, I do. There's some that just kind of get categorized as worst case scenario. So the water mains down, some of the side streets like Coast Avenue was addressed, that was the worst. We put a brand new 8-inch down, all the way down Coast. The same goes for Williams Avenue, that currently has a 6-inch that's was put in the early 60s. That needs to be replaced down Williams. That would be the next.
But
After-
then that's
after
not in
Colorado.
the urban renewal though.
Oh, the urban, yeah, that's the urban.
There's
Yeah, but see, some of this needs to
8-inch
be
water line from
replaced.
Collins Street to Bridge, is that what you're talking about?
Nice.
No, well, see, some of
There's
this is-
also expand the water plant on Collins Street, so there are projects
Yeah.
specifically mentioned.
some of them are done, like Coast Avenue is done. The highway, that's where it says 12-inch water line, east of the highway, that's half done. We went, it's on the east side of the highway, there's a 12-inch that runs from Lane past Lillian, around another 100 yards. So probably, yeah, there's some of this that's done, but some that aren't on here that, just didn't make the list, that it needs to be updated for sure.
So maybe, so do we have to, have our plan done before the budget meetings? Or do we have another meeting, do we have another planning meeting before our first urban renewal budget?
That would be totally up to you, Chair.
I would like to see Brady update the list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's starting, maybe with the new engineer too, I don't know if we can, but it'd be great if I could,
Ooh,
with
that
the
would
new
be-
engineer.
Yes, hopefully you guys, well, we did already, approving the contract tonight.
Yeah,
Just out of curiosity, is the water plant, would that be, we can use urban renewal for the water plant, is
So,
it?
some, yeah, I mean, yeah, there are, we should get the breakdown of what urban renewal funds are used for, and it's usually to upgrade your existing system that's failing. and increase, areas for like the light, things like that. And there's again, stuff that is, I can't remember everything off the cuff, but we should get the explanation of what urban funds are used for, and we can do that.
Yeah,
I actually have been trying to learn a lot about this because it's not something I'm familiar with. There is a document, and that I can find and send to you guys, that I found recently, where one of the previous attorneys actually wrote down what you can use urban renewal funds for.
Yay, right.
It's a really helpful document. It's several years old, but that doesn't matter, it's great.
yeah, and if you could circulate this around too.
Oh, the renewal plan, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be good. So, so I think that's a good plan for Brady to update it. Let's do and determine what some of these things are, seems like urban renewal, but there's some other things that could also be transient room tax. So it'd be really nice to meet with, Council Beasley said that, we have limited dollars, so let's see what can be used for transient room and what can be used for urban renewal.
Right.
And maybe if, when we find out what, maybe we can determine a breakdown, so we don't have to spend. And in this harbor, the docks project, if you're looking at the second,
Right.
that's not gonna be spent through this, hopefully. We might have to use it if we don't get all the
Yeah.
final grants, but hopefully most of this is not, this 4 million doesn't need to be used. So that would free up quite a bit of other funding for different public safety.
Is our plan right now, though, that this is kind of last resort where the money could come from to finish the harbor project at this point?
Yeah,
Yes, it would be last resort, yeah.
absolutely.
You mean this money for the harbor project
If we.
as a last resort?
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's in the boundary.
Well, then you might as well just plan on it.
Well, no, hopefully not. We might have to earmark some, so we have that extra 1.5 million, but we don't have to earmark 4 million as it shows now.
And this Martin was pretty optimistic, getting funding.
We might as
Yeah,
well,
we filed for a grant last week for $2 million, so.
Wow,
Where
nice.
are we?
When we
And
discussed
we're
the
meeting with
tonight.
the
Yes.
project, the grant writers next week to further talk about the Marad grant.
So, so I think, Brady, streets, water, sewer, and storm drain is really in your bailiwick to update and put on other, and I think we should really talk about it as critical needs, not like, oh, it would be nice to.
Yeah.
I think it's the.
Worst
really-
case scenario, yeah.
Yeah, well, not worst case.
Yeah. We shouldn't be there, Brady. It's not the worst case.
So let's move down then to parks, preservation and rehabilitation, public safety, and this revitalization assistance, that's the one for private property, and the mayor wanted to add some housing. And I agree that maybe we talk about it as like workforce housing, because really what's now offering in tons of money is the houseless, but we really have a need for workforce housing. So maybe we could put something like that in, but I don't know.
Excuse me,
Mhm.
Chair, I appreciate that.
Mhm.
We do have a need for workforce housing, but do we need it in Depot Bay?
Yes, we do.
And there are some trends going on right now. I think, before we determine that we're gonna have any kind of housing here, we ought to have like a housing survey so we understand what's going on. One of the things that's happening right now is you build workforce housing, and retirees take it over. And so, the goals and the missions, they don't always happen, I'm just saying.
There's a survey going on right now.
with the county.
I agree about the priorities, but I just don't do them anywhere, whether it was in Newport or Lincoln City or anywhere. I think that's just the problem.
Well, maybe we should call it retiree housing then, instead of workforce housing.
Well, we need, maybe the better thing is to call it low-income housing. But then that has negative connotations for a lot of people.
What about this? As I walk around town, I see a lot of activity, a lot of construction activity right now. Housing going up, north and south, and then there's a lot of also vacant property that's in movement right now. I think what's happening is that housing is occurring on its own. And we have such a limited budget. We are so limited in what we do here to get involved in housing. When we don't have to, because of our size, I mean, that is a great thing. Because the state of Oregon is really bearing down on municipalities, with a higher population to provide this stuff. And we don't have to do that right now. It'll happen on its own, I believe.
Well, one of the things I was thinking about, and the market drives housing, but just like around the country, I just heard a report on National Public Radio, I think it was, that all over the country, it's not just us, that houses are unaffordable to middle class. Forget about, people that have lower incomes than that. And so these projects can be loans or can be grants, but one of the things we could do is incentivize people, instead of doing vacation rentals, brings in some income, but we could incentivize new homes by waiving or paying the system development fees, for example, through our urban renewal, if they, say for 15 years, rent at or below a certain rate. So that might, I agree, we don't wanna we don't wanna use our whole budget for housing, but if there's a way that we could incentivize, I don't think it would be, because they're gonna build the houses anyway. That we're gonna build the houses anyway, but they're going to vacation rentals, or they're going at that property across the street, I thought, oh, a rental, but it was like $2,500 a month. It was unbelievable, nobody can afford that.
Sure, you're absolutely right about that. There are certain things that we can do here and things we can't do. My concern as I hear these discussions unfold is the pressure on our facilities, our parks, our sewer. We're falling behind right now on that, and we're talking about bringing more people in for this life raft. And I just say that what we should do is, I hope we can, is to pick our battles and do with, besides being against giving away SDCs, I mean, in this climate, we don't need to give away anything. In fact, we need to charge more for everything. But that's, thank you.
I just had a question about, the planned goal of increasing and improving public spaces. So does that mean anything we work in that has to be within the bounds of the district, or is it anything we work in has to be in the bounds of the district, right? So any kind of public space we would put money, it has to be within that lines of urban renewal, okay.
I am not an expert, so I look forward to seeing that legal thing that Kim has.
It has to be within the bounds.
Within the
We've
bounds.
had to expand the bounds before.
Okay.
To.
But when there's critical infrastructure like the water plant, we don't?
I think you still do.
You still do, okay.
Oh, we would have to
If it's
expand the
in there,
boundary to
yeah.
include the water plant,
It
okay,
has to be in the bounds or you have to
Okay.
expand that.
okay. Right. And the water plant, is it in the bounds?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
But another, I'm looking here now, public buildings and
Yeah,
facilities.
it looks like it is,
Is it?
yeah,
Oh, cool.
because it's that greenway of the creek, so that's all green. Yeah.
Oh, really?
The reservoir itself and
Oh, wow.
So it says public buildings and facilities, so there's 5 million earmarked for community hall and fire hall, which we're also not gonna need. So, because that's been done, I don't know.
the
about fire hall.
foundation was addressed at the common hall,
Yeah.
fire hall was not affiliated.
There does need more improvements in community hall.
but not
Right.
$5 million yet. So I
And
think we have a
city
lot
hall
to play with, right?
improvements.
Questions, Brian? How, the water treatment plants, what, 20 years old, how old do they last? I mean, how many years?
So
Is that
the last upgrade was supposed to be 20, so it was in 95. So the original water plant was put in the mid-70s. And then that was a package plant, it's upgraded in 95, and that's supposed to go for about 20, 25 years. So we're right now, it makes really good water. We want to keep the same direct filtration rather than membrane. I mean, there's new technology, but it takes a lot more manpower and hard work. And, we've had the health department there and they say, why change this? This works great. You just need to upgrade your filter bays and things like that with like stainless or something rather than aluminum. That's what we're looking at right now. The foundation is sinking, but we'll maybe do some repairs on the building itself and the filters, but other than that, I think the concrete clarifier, everything in the plant right now is made to make 500 gallons per minute at max, and right now we make about somewhere about half that, about 250 gallons per minute.
I
So,
also spoke to the city engineers about this, and I mentioned our aging infrastructure. And it's not really our plants as much as some of the pieces that make up. He said our plants were actually not old, but you're talking about our pipes, some of our piping, some of the stations, things like that, where there's more, it's the
Yeah.
things that are more wear and tear than the actual plants themselves.
exactly. Our water mains
The pumps.
are made of asbestos concrete downtown. Not so much the newer neighborhoods and the newer lines we put in are all PVC, but
Those are the types of things.
the feds are one day gonna come in and say, hey, you have like this calendar date of getting rid of all your AC pipe, and that's gonna be,
But once we
Couple
have
million.
an engineer on board, and we can get engineer-ready plans, then we can get funding. So we don't necessarily have to, all of this is beyond the urban renewal district's money anyway, but
yes.
We absolutely, once we get an engineer on board and can get our plans, we can get grants.
so, good.
I'm just thinking, ideally, all of the costs for water and sewer would be borne in our rates. Right, especially sewer, so that everybody that's using the system is paying into it. So anything that we pay at urban renewal is essentially subsidizing our sewer or water rate.
As long as our system development fees are up to date.
So,
That is one of their first projects for sending them on,
yeah,
and we're meeting with them tomorrow.
The engineers,
Yeah, assuming you guys,
But we will not know what the priorities are until Brady upgrades the
Right.
list.
we have a few things that we've identified that are a bit more urgent, like for example, the catwalk at the wastewater treatment plant is bad.
Yeah.
It's more of a safety thing. It was also suggested to look at the SDC rates because that's an important consideration.
Yeah.
But more projects than that. There's one more that I was thinking about that's more of a, not critical, but more of an urgent need to it.
Mhm.
But you're right, once you guys identify what we really want to focus on, that's what.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the big point is getting whatever money we can, so we don't have to depend on,
we shouldn't be subsidizing our water and
no,
sewer
we should,
rates.
or the
We could
sewer,
be.
or the harbor.
The cross-referencing too from our rate study, that's a whole, we should have that along with this and then see where that, because that was prioritized during the rate study that we just had, so that would be a good tool also to look at.
And the catwalk was funded in our budget this year.
Yeah, this year, right, it's
And
just
so
been,
that would be covered.
Yeah, the catwalk needs to happen ASAP.
it's, we ran up against trying to get a aluminum fabricator in our area, not from Salem or something, that would even come down and give us quote. We've tried, but something else kind of trumps it when we get involved with trying to get someone down here and then just have no luck, so something else comes along. It just, it's
So
been this
are you
ongoing.
able to do that crosswalk in what you present to us in the SDC, not an SDC plan?
Do you want us to add this to the list? Is
The
that what
catwalk on the
Yeah.
sewer,
No, just everything. He says there's some things in here that were on
you're?
the,
Right, So you want us to, so Freddie and I can go through this together,
Yes,
and then we can say, no, we're done, and then we can put a just need, yeah, we need this, we need this.
And not
Yeah,
only that,
because
it's
it's items in
not
our
only
rates.
need this, is it already mentioned in the rate study for the.
Oh,
yeah, because those are
okay.
updated, yeah, we need to use this with the rate study, because
Yeah.
it talks about the other water storage tank on south of town, things that are.
Yeah, that was a good list of projects in
Yeah.
that rate study.
Yeah.
And so then we have to make sure these are all within, we're looking at the urban renewal district, if in or out, and you're assuming these are all in the urban renewal, so we should just double check that. So I guess for the rest of us, these things that say plan goals at the bottom, maybe that's where, until we get this information back from Brady and Kim, we try to concentrate and see, what is it that is here that we want to look at, what other things you have in mind, where that's come up, and try to have a conversation next time about what our wish list would be. Are these still good ones, or are there others?
How much time do you need, do you think, to complete like that document, a few weeks or?
Brandy and I
We
could
could-
probably knock it out.
We can do it, yeah, in a couple of meetings.
We have our project meetings, him and I put them there every Friday. And this Friday, we'll bring staff into this one. So we can probably knock it out. How much, when do you guys want to have a meeting again?
Well, do you wanna meet before budgeting starts?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Our first budget meeting is the end of the.
Yeah.
Oh, so we have another
Couple of weeks.
couple of weeks.
And the point of this urban renewal is we're limited on what we can do, right? I mean, it's, the whole idea was to end urban blight.
Well, that's only one part of it. I thought so
Okay,
too.
go ahead.
Yeah, I thought so too, but that's only one part of it.
Okay,
It's to generally increase the functioning of the city so there's more value, people want to live here because everything works, and it's safe, and it's pleasant, as well as blight removal.
I thought it was to increase property tax.
Well, yeah, I think that is part of what we are hoping, that as property rates increase when people want to live there, I guess.
Of course, that won't help us.
No, but we get some. But I think that's only, I was under the impression that.
Do we get property taxes?
No, we don't. Not directly, but we get payments from the
We
county.
get the compression
Yeah.
payments.
Yeah,
but
it's not.
No. So is there something more that we should discuss
Just when to meet next.
and to meet next? Okay. What's people availability? Is this good to meet in front of the city council meeting, so we're already,
Yes.
Sure.
okay, so
That's usually a standard.
On the 21st.
do we have anything else planned?
So.
No, nothing before on the 21st.
How's that,
The mayor
21st,
and
5 o'clock?
will be out that day, right?
Who?
Aren't you?
No, I will not be attending that
Okay.
meeting, so I will be here.
Okay.
I'll be gone, but that's okay,
Okay.
I can zoom in.
Okay, so 5 PM on March 21st?
Well, that'd be great.
And that's the next meeting of the urban renewal.
Yeah, right in front of our city council meeting. Okay, cool.
Will that give you enough time for?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
gives them a deadline, we better make it.
Isn't our first budget meeting April 19th?
Yes.
Yeah, the end of April, well, it's the end of April, but it's not really the end, is it? It's close enough.
It's close to the end.
Chair, might I ask a question when you're done?
I'm done.
So there is and I think this has come up before during the meeting, and I don't know if the council has any interest in having the #1 consultant on urban renewal come in and kind of give an urban renewal 101 presentation. I would need to see what her consultant rate is, but it might be useful.
Well, let's see that memo first.
Great, so what do we do about that? Is there anything we can do about that?
Yeah.
Somebody check the computers, cell phones.
Yeah.
Away from the lights.
Okay,
so-
it's
always
bad.
Okay.
So let's see that memo first.
Okay.
And see how clarifying that is, and if everybody looks over the purposes in here. And we have an updated urban renewal map that people should get to. Do you have that, the map?
It's in the plan, right?
It's
So
not
I-
good, the master plan is really hard to read. I find it easier just to look at that, but really.
So I asked this question the other day, when does it sunset?
At 2029,
So we should kind
we
of
should.
back
definitely-
into that or forward into that or not forget that.
Yeah, that was probably the case.
So we have to spend all the money or else we lose it, right? Or does it go into other funds?
I think you would just have to extend it, I think. As part of that 101 I'm still learning,
Yeah.
is what happens to, I mean, I don't think it's a matter of how does it work? You know, I read something about this recently, I'm sorry. I
No,
did
I'm
read
glad
something
you're-
about this recently.
You're going up on it, 'cause I don't know.
So- As somebody that kind of helped introduce the concept of urban renewal back in whatever it was, we used to sit at coffee and talk with Jack and Maggie and
I didn't know
Jack-
you did that.
yeah, Jack Brown was counselor and brought it forward to the, but we had somebody come and do a presentation. I don't know if you all still have those tapes, but it was really, really good. I mean, it was the presentation on why you should have an urban renewal district. And it kind of would be interesting to revisit why we did it in the first place. I mean, there were projects that we came up with at that time. In fact, I did the map with Larry. Larry, bless his heart, I don't know how he connected all those dots, but you know, it's one continuous urban renewal district and it was based on,
Yeah, they had
I
a
was-
renaissance of the harbor. I
yeah,
remember all that.
yeah, remember that?
What year was that about?
Well, it was, when was the plan, 2000?
That's why you don't have harbor leases.
2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
that's
So
when it
anyway,
started.
but I was on the planning commission and so I kind of had an inside info on what all was going on with the big tracts of land that were about to be developed. So, and coming from Salem, because I did so much work with urban renewal over there, that I could see the benefit in it.
Yeah, they showed what other cities have done in projects.
Oh,
You know, like Sisters did all their western
Yeah.
theme.
I have a lot of information on, maybe I've been pulling it off of various different sites about it. I think, I wanna say that I think she came, the Lane Howard.
I can't remember who it was, but yeah, somebody
I think
did
I
was-
found that,
Oh, did you? Oh, cool.
I think so.
So if you don't mind, if when you find things that are good background or something that will help us make decisions, if you don't mind continuing to send things, that would be really good.
Well, this is good because honestly, I don't wanna flood you guys with stuff that you may already have. Now, I know that, Councilor Sullivan and Councilor Beasley are new to this, at least to tell you this, but I don't wanna flood you guys with things you don't know.
I
But
don't
can
think
certainly put
we
together
have
some stuff.
much, do we?
Cool.
I don't think you're
Oh,
flooding
really?
us.
Oh.
Or maybe you could just put a Dropbox file together, I don't do that, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so, without any further ado, we adjourn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then supper, good. And then, darken